Shalom Haverim. Hello friends. Today we will read the Shema and the Mezuzah listening to each other by Rabbi Sandy Eisenberg Sasso, illustrated by Joni Keller Rothenberg. This is a story about conflict and compromise. In the 12th century, the great Torah commentator Rashi and his grandson Rabbeinu Tam had a disagreement about how to place the mezuzah on the doorpost of the home. Rashi thought it should be placed vertically. Rabbeinu Tam believed it should be in a horizontal position. As a compromise, it became the custom to put up the mezuzah slanted into the home. Annie's grandmother had just moved into a new home. Annie was glad all the boxes were unpacked. Now her grandmother would have time to bake her favorite chocolate chip cookies. "Can we bake now?" Annie asked expectantly. "No, not just yet," her grandmother smiled. "There's still one more box to open." Annie's grandmother carefully opened a small package that Annie recognized right away. "That's a mezuzah. We have one on the doorway of our home," Annie exclaimed. "Please, don't do that. My mom told me that inside is a special paper, and on it are very important words, the words of the Shema. Shema Yisrael. Listen, Israel, the eternal our God, the eternal is one. Speak these words when you go out and when you come in, when you lie down and when you get up."
Mommy, can I have some game time?
Annie watched as her grandmother said a blessing and put up the mezuzah on her doorway. "Grandma, why doesn't the mezuzah stand up straight or lie down flat?" Annie asked. "Why does the mezuzah look like it's leaning to one side?" "It's the same way at my home," her grandmother smiled. "Let me tell you a story. Once there was a town where many people had mezuzahs, but no one knew how to put them up. Perhaps there are instructions inside the mezuzah, the townspeople thought. They looked at the special paper inside the mezuzah. It contained words from the Torah, but no instruction on how to put the mezuzah on the doorpost. Half the people said, "We should put the mezuzah standing up, since the words tell us to say the Shema when we get up in the morning." Half the people insisted the mezuzah should be lying down. "The words tell us to say the Shema when we lie down at night." Neither side wanted to listen to the other. They just argued and kept shouting and shouting. One side screamed, "Standing up!" The other side shrieked, "Lying down!" "Standing up!" "Lying down!" "Standing up!" "Lying down!" The two sides yelled and yelled. They argued all through the day. They argued all through the night. Standing up, lying down. What were the people to do? They decided to ask the rabbi of the town. The rabbi turned his head to one side and listened. The rabbi turned his head to the other side and listened. He turned to look at the buildings in the town. None of them had a mezuzah on the doorway. "What are we to do?" the townspeople asked the rabbi. "Shall we put the mezuzah standing up or lying down?" To the people who believed that the mezuzah should be standing up, the rabbi said, "You are right." To the people who believed that the mezuzah should be lying down, the rabbi said, "You are right." The townspeople were puzzled. "Rabbi, how can we all be right? We can't have the mezuzah standing up and lying down at the same time." The rabbi smiled. "You are right again. Very funny, Rabbi." Both sides agreed. But the rabbi wasn't laughing. You haven't read the instructions very carefully. The very first word on the mezuzah special paper is Shema. Listen. Listen to one another. You must put the mezuzah on the doorway so that it is standing up a little and lying down a little. The people who wanted the mezuzah standing up listened to the people who wanted it lying down and said, well, if we slant the mezuzah, it will almost be standing up. The people who wanted the mezuzah lying down listened to the people who wanted it standing up and said, well, if we slant the mezuzah, it will almost be lying down. Both sides like the rabbi's idea. The people stopped shouting. They stopped arguing. They stopped yelling. They listened. They put up the mezuzahs. The people lived in many different kinds of homes, but they were one people. It is just like the Shema tells us. God is one. And that is how Annie's grandmother said. It has been ever since. When we place the mezuzah on our doorway, it is not standing up and it is not lying down. It is leaning into our home just the way it should be. When we enter our home and see the leaning mezuzah, we remember, she said softly. We stop shouting. We stop arguing. We stop yelling at each other. We listen. We are one.
Mom,
And I love this story because it teaches us about Shalom Bayit, peace in
Mommy,
our home.
now you can